What's up, guys? I am back again for another fun-filled video of all the advice. I'm going to call it advice. Wisdom, even though I think about renaming my channel the Wisdom Tooth, which is, I think, an awesome name for a channel, it's more advice. I'm going to put it like that. So there are a couple of topics that I want to talk about. I got so many topics. Make sure that you like and subscribe and do all that stuff and share. Share, especially if you know somebody that could use this advice. It's very important. I got a frog. That frog is croaking in my video. I'm going to ignore it. Anyway, I got a lot of different topics that I'm going to cover on my channel, so make sure, that's why I said subscribe, so when my videos pop up you'll get notification. Hit that bell too. There's so many topics that I'm actually going to have to write them down so that I don't mess up, because what I want to talk about today was finances. I think there's a lot of young people that could deal with a lot of financial advice, and I'm not going to talk about crypto coin and like investing and all that, not that type of finance, but the financing that has to do with saving, which kind of ties into my last video. Saving, but also how you spend your money, how you make decisions correctly, how you don't get immersed in credit to where you can't pay it off, to where you're only paying minimum payments and never really hitting the interest. That's a very important topic that I have a lot of experience on, that is worth sharing. Because trust me, I was probably 40,000. I was 40,000 in debt 20 years ago, and didn't know how I was going to get out of it. I was making minimum payments, and I'm like, this thing is drowning me. And I'm going to get to that story on a different video. What I want to talk about today, again, ties a little bit into what I spoke on my last video. Don't waste your life. Life is very fleeting. On my very first video about these topics, if you go back on my channel, you'll see when I had a heart attack, and you can watch that whole, you don't have to watch it, you can listen to podcast, if you will, 45-minute story about my heart attack. We never know when we're going to die. There's no reservation. There's nothing waiting for us except the unknown. And for that reason, wasting your life because you think you have time is the worst decision that you could make. Every day is a blessing. Every day we wake up. Every day we're able to do something new. Every day we start again. As bad as it was yesterday, you can make it better today. But a lot of people are sedate. A lot of people procrastinate on decisions, and they waste time. And time is afforded to nobody because you don't know. It's gone. Yesterday's gone. You can never get it back. Best you can do is have memories or take pictures or whatever. You can't get tomorrow. You can't get tomorrow's not promised to you, and today's over. Almost. Sorry. Yesterday's over. Tomorrow's not promised. But we get into this conundrum in our brains where it's like, if I just had time, I could go visit this person, or if I just had time, I could do something. And then we get stuck in a rut, and then we don't. And then we realize later on, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Don't ever do shoulda, coulda, woulda. The biggest problem about that is, if you should, then do it. If you could, then do it. Don't go back to would've. I would've if I just knew what I knew now. Or I would have if I had made the time. Everybody makes time for what's important to them. But like I said, too many people are sedate and they're complacent in their decision making. And then that begets complacency. One begets the other. Like energy creates energy. Lethargy creates lethargy. And complacency creates that if you let it go. Time goes by so quick, let me tell you. 1 to 10 years old, oh my God, it's like a turtle. Will ever get here? Will I ever be a teenager? Oh, I can't wait till I'm 13. Oh, I can't wait. I'm 11 and a half. Only a year and a half left. I'm 12, finally. 364 more days until I'm 13. And then we hit the teenage stage, and then we have a lot of growth and a lot of stuff that's happening during that stage, even more so than the previous years. Everything's new, right? Everything is new. going from 10 to 20, another 10-year mark, a lot of stuff happens during that 10 years. A lot of stuff. But that time goes a little quicker, and it starts to pick up speed around 16, 17 years old. It starts to pick up a little traction. Because a lot of the stuff that we've learned, a lot of the stuff that's brought to us, we've already learned. And that's that cycle that we get caught up in when we get older. That's that cycle that makes time seem like you can't grab it. You cannot grab it because it goes so fast as you get older. So that 10 to 20 mark is like, oh, I'm 20 already? I can't wait till I'm 21 so I can drink. Like, we're always waiting for that next little, I don't know, fork in the road or whatever, that we have that choice, like I said, to make a left or right turn or go straight, go backward. Don't go backward. Then you finally hit 21, and then that little turtle phase ends up being like a trotting horse. If I could think some type of an analogy, you know, the horse is kind of trotting, and the time goes by a little faster, and you hit 25 and you're like, holy, like I was just a teenager yesterday, it seems like, you know, like you just get into this time, not a capsule, what would be the opposite? It's like a continuum. You get into this time continuum where every day goes by and you just assume that there's going to be tomorrow, and you assume, and then you're 30. And it's like, 30? Where did my 20s go? Remember, that horse is trotting, that's picking up speed. And then from 30 to 40, I don't even know what to tell you, because that's when it really hits. That's when it hits hard. The 30s are when most people are settling into a career, right? They've done their schooling, they've done their college, whatever it is you're doing, you know, technical school, whatever it is you're doing in your 20s. And now in your 30s, you're catching your stride. You're starting to establish yourself in life. With any luck, you're starting a family. I started late in life. It was about 35 for me, 34-ish. So you're starting a family and you're starting to get credit. Well, hopefully you've already got a little credit in your 20s that you manage properly. And that's why I said at the beginning of this video, I want to talk seriously about that. 20-somethings in their credit is like a horrible phase, especially in college, because they throw applications at you left and right, all the big credit companies, because they know that you're going to be in college and that you're going to be a professional of some sort, and that you're going to be able to eat up all that interest that they make money on. Very, very dangerous path. But let me not get off my path. 30 to 40 is like, when you hit 40, you're like, holy moly, I'm halfway through with my life, you know, because you're thinking, yeah, first part of my life to 40, and the last part of my life is to 80. Well, that's still 40 years. That's a long time away. You know, let me kind of slow roll my life. Don't do it. Do not do it. Don't think that you have this time. Trust me on this, because that galloping horse that got you to 40 now becomes, what's the fastest thing? Next to fastest thing. I think it's the Peregrine Falcon. I'm not going to go there yet, but it is definitely a fast running rabbit. That pesky rabbit gets you from 40 to 50 fast, in a hurry. Because you start looking in the horizon when you're about 45, and you're like, holy crap, I'm only 5 years from like half a century. And you're trying to figure out what to do for your birthday, because remember, your 13th birthday mattered, your 16th mattered, your 18th, and your 21st. Now what do you have? You have nothing. You have nothing. The big marker now is that 50th birthday. And when you get there, you start realizing how you wasted your life. You start realizing all those little turns and, you know, like forks in the road, and the shoulda, coulda, woulda hits you. Because if you don't get immersed into real life In other words, raising a family, getting a career, saving for your future, and all those things that are important when you get my age, you'll miss the boat. And you'll try and play catch up. By the time you hit 50, trust me, everybody's trying to play catch up because they realize, oh my God, I've got less than 20 years before retirement. Less than 20 years. If you retire at 67, or even you push it to 70, right? If you push it to 70 to get the maximum retirement you can from Social Security, you've got 20 years. That's it. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, if you don't latch onto a career where you can get a pension, or possibly 2 careers, or 3, because you have time to do that. You understand? From 20 years old, you have a possibility of having maybe 3 careers in your life with 3 checks coming in, plus SSI. Plus SSI. And I'm going to get to that in my own experience in life and the decisions that I did not make correctly, and how I could have 3 checks coming in right now if I played my cards right, and I didn't. I'm just saying. This is what I'm trying to get across on my channel. Wasting your life means procrastinating, which means never being able to accomplish that which you should have accomplished already. Don't waste your life. It's too short. It really is. You don't think that when you're 10 or when you're 20, really. When you're 20, you're not thinking about 64. That's old. You know, like I'm on a cane. I'm in a wheelchair at 64. That's a long way. No, it's not a long way. I'm fortunate that I'm not carrying a cane or anything like that, but it's going to catch up to you sooner or later. And some people aren't as fortunate. Some people have ill health by the time they're in their 50s. So you don't know that. That deck of cards is thrown at you in such a fashion that when you pick them up and you realize, ooh, I got the Joker, it's too late. You're 45 and you picked up the Joker. That's not a way to lead your life. You should be shuffling your deck. You shouldn't be picking up cards that are arbitrary. Yeah, arguably life throws you some arbitrary Joker cards, or like, I'm just saying, if you were the master of your own destiny, and I know it's cliche to say that, but if you were the master of your own destiny, then some of those cards are a hiccup, but they're not a direction. You don't have to go in certain places if you decide how you're going to steer this ship. If you decide you're going to take the path that you should have taken, the shoulda, coulda, woulda, you decide that. So the decision-making process that you have to make way before you're 50 is already in motion, you see? From the time you're 20. Those decisions are already in motion to affect your life in the future. And you'll waste it. You will waste it. There are a lot of people out there that have wasted their lives, that amounted to nothing. And I don't mean, you have to be a head of a company, or you have to put out a solid gold record, or you have to be a sports hero or something like that. I don't mean success. That it means different things to different people. But the success that you should be striving for is, by the time you get to my age, you don't have to work. You're traveling the world. You're not worried about spending money. You're not worried about the bills, if you can pay them or not. You're not worried about any of that stuff because you got $1 million in the bank. And I don't mean that like you're a millionaire per se, but you're going to need something like that. You're going to need something close to that when you retire. And if you don't set yourself up ahead of time, you'll realize you wasted your life. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's a little bit you can do about it, but not much. That time conundrum, that time continuum that goes from 40 to 50, because it happened to me so quick, so quick, is even faster when it's 50 to 60. Every 10 years goes by quicker than the previous 10 years. And already I'm a third into my next decade. Already. I feel like I just celebrated 60 2 years ago, and it's been 4. So I'm pushing next year more towards 70 than I am 60. 70? What the? 70? I can't even fathom when I was 20 years old thinking about 70, let alone 60 or 50, because I think time is on my side, and it's not. You know, all those things that you should have done when you were younger matters to you now, especially now, for me. Those paths that I took, the indecision that I made, or the wrong decisions that I made, affect me right now. And I wish I could go back. That button that I talk about a lot to younger people, there's no replay, there's no do-over. The do-over button doesn't exist. Trust me, if I could go back, I'm going to say it like this. I've made so many wrong decisions in my life that just at the top of my head, and without even writing them down, just at the top of my head, I'm going to say that I made probably at least 10 to 15 stupid decisions that affected me now. That if there was a redo button, if I could go back and make a different decision, knowing what I know now, I would do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. There's a lot of people that go through life, it's like, oh, I wouldn't change a thing. That's not me. Oh, I wouldn't change a thing. I've lived a good life. I've done everything that I wanted to do, and everything just fit, you know, because they made it fit. For me, that's not the case. You know, life threw me some joker cards. Life threw me some weird cards that I wasn't in charge of. Well, sorry, strike that. That I was in charge of, but decided not to. I let life throw me the cards instead of me being the dealer. I'll put it like that. That's a good analogy. I did not deal well. I wasn't dealt well, rather than being the dealer. So when I made those wrong decisions and realized now at my age that those were mistakes, and if I could do a do-over, I can't. I can only deal with those decisions, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you. I know I'm being repetitive and redundant and all that stuff, but it's worth listening to. You know, especially if you're 25, 30 years old, or even if you're 40, it's not too late. If you're 40 years old, 45 years old, get on top of it. Get on top of your life. Don't let it slip by you, because it will. In a heartbeat, it will. I talked to a lady yesterday who's 82, and she's working part-time at Macy's. Very, very astute. She's got everything going for her. She has some health issues, but she's very, very keen on there's nothing that has degraded her life as far as functional, you know. Like, she told me that she's COPD and all that stuff, but you know, she's not wearing the oxygen mask and the tank and all that stuff. So yeah, but if I could be her at 82, you know, she's got almost 20 years on me, and I'm just like, and she lived her life very well, and she told me what I just said, that she's lived a good life. She doesn't care if she drops. She didn't say it like this, my words. She doesn't care if she drops dead today, because she's done everything. She's accomplished everything she wanted to accomplish, and now she's in those latter years just kind of smooth sailing. She did mention about traveling, though. She said she hadn't traveled enough, and she would love to, you know, to be able to go more places. She has a passport, of course, but she would love to go to more places. And I'm like, go do it. Like, go do it. Don't put it off. Like, why would, especially at this age, don't put it off. Yeah, life is so short. We're here, but you know, when I had my heart attack, I started thinking to myself, because I'm driving home, or even when I drove myself to the VA. I'm looking around me. I'm in traffic, and traffic is built up like it always is, and dump trucks are going to dump off their loads, cement mixers, and you know, I see the AT&T truck go by to go, you know, do some service at somebody. Everything keeps moving along, with or without you. If I had dropped dead last month on my heart attack, I wouldn't matter. I might matter to some people that know me. Otherwise, life goes on. It doesn't care about you. Life does not, the world doesn't revolve around you or even care about you. Whether you're here or not, it still continues on. Next generation, that just keeps on moving, just keeps moving. 50 years from now, nobody's even thinking about you. Nobody even knew you existed. So, that's why it's important. Don't procrastinate. Pull out all the stops. If you want to do something, go and do it. If you haven't accomplished something, go and accomplish it, or get on the right track to accomplish it. It was told to me one time that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. When you know you have 1,000 miles to walk, oh my God, and I got to start with one step? Yes, you do. But guess what? By that 999 step, you'll be glad that you hit that 1,000 mark. But not if you don't have enough time to do it. I'm just saying. Don't waste your life. Just like Nike, just do it. Anyway, hope that wasn't too much of a bummer. I will be back for another video very, very soon. As I said before in my previous video, if you have any ideas, as I said, I think my next video is going to be about finances that I talked about earlier. But if you have ideas for video, definitely drop in the comment section. I'd be glad to hear them, especially if you're younger. I really, really want to know where your mind is at. And if there's any advice that I can forward to you, if there's any somehow knowledge that would be beneficial that you could learn from. Because at the end of the day, you know, old people, that's all we have. All we have, remember I said the world doesn't care if you're here or gone? All we have is to pass on that knowledge. If we gain that knowledge and die with it, what good is it? So I just want to be able to pass it on. So yeah, drop it in the comment section. Make sure that you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit that button and do all those things, and, you know, let me know what your thoughts are. Anyway, later guys.